Why is the central column of Shanghai's Nanpu Bridge interchange shrouded in such deep historical superstition? The official answer is engineering. The real answer is a curse. Chen Wei, a pragmatic man of the modern city, had ignored the old stories until the night the glass started to lie. Chen was in toll booth 4. The time, 3:17 a.m. The city felt dead, a vacuum of sound and light. He looked at the window, checking his reflection for fatigue. He saw his own face, but the reflection was subtly wrong. His reflection was smiling, a wide, unnatural curve of the mouth, a smile that promised nothing but unending, cold malice. Chen snatched his hand to his own mouth. He was not smiling. His reflection mirrored his movement, but the grin remained, fixed and cold. He slammed his hand against the glass. The reflection vanished, replaced by the empty black road. But in the instant it was gone, Chen saw something else in the brief distortion. A face that wasn't his, pressed against the exterior glass. Not a woman, but a child, with eyes wide open, staring through him, and a small, distinct tear track running down the glass that immediately evaporated into the sterile air. He scrambled back, knocking his chair over. He checked the side door, bolted shut. He checked the counter. Nothing. Just the faint, metallic scent of ozone and the deep, low vibration of the bridge structure, like a monstrous heart beating beneath the river. Chen fought the urge to smash the glass, realizing that the toll booth, designed to keep people out, was now sealing something terrifying in.
To understand the terror, one must understand the foundation. The legend of the Dragon Pillar says that when the engineers failed, a monk performed a ceremony sealing the dragon's spine to allow the bridge to stand. But the locals know the true cost was not the monk's life, but a continuing tribute. The bridge functions as a ledger. Feng Shui practitioners whisper that every 5 years the spiritual debt must be paid, or the bridge will claim it. The spirits passing through are merely the messengers. The true hunger belongs to the pillar itself, demanding a physical exchange for every soul that avoids the cold embrace of the Huangpu River. Chen suddenly felt the cold calculation of the spirit world. He was the toll collector. He was the cashier for the dragon's debt. He was sitting at the most dangerous intersection of the mortal and immortal realms in all of Shanghai. The thought made his blood feel like ice water in his veins. He grabbed his thermos, his hand shaking so violently the hot tea spilled over his fingers. He didn't feel the burn. He was too focused on the low, guttural sigh that now resonated through the glass, seeming to come from the deepest part of the bridge's foundation, a sound that ended in a wet, choking rattle.
3:45 a.m. The minute Chen dreaded. A sound erupted on the counter. Hiss! Like frying meat. Chen looked. 3 items lay smoking on the stainless steel. Not ancient coins. They were 3 modern silvery yuan coins, but they were melted. The metal was twisted and blackened, smelling of sulfur and burnt paper, the distinct odor of Joss money that had been supernaturally transmuted into physical currency, still radiating intense, unnatural heat. This was physical evidence that defied thermodynamics and reality. The spirit world was forcefully interacting with his space, leaving behind physical proof of its passage. Chen realized the coins were still so hot they were slightly pitting the steel counter, the metal bubbling slightly where they rested. Chen immediately slammed the security shield down. Clang! The thick metal barrier covered the window, locking the booth down. He leaned against the back wall, trying to catch his breath. The intense sulfurous smell seemed to intensify now that the booth was sealed.
Chilling moment. But as the metal shield descended, Chen saw a brief message etched deeply into the interior glass of the main window, a message that had not been there 1 second before. It was written backward, as if etched by a finger from the outside, but visible clearly inside the booth. The scratches were deep enough to catch the light, leaving fine powder of glass dust scattered below. The message read, "We are waiting. Join us." Chen pressed his back against the cool vinyl wall, watching the etched message. He knew it wasn't the reflection playing tricks. This was real, physical damage created by an impossible force. He pulled out his phone, holding the flashlight beam to the scratches, confirming the depth of the violation. His mind raced. If they could do this to the glass, what could they do to him? He was sealed inside a very expensive, very vulnerable trap. He tried to call the control room, but the signal was dead, completely blocked by the unseen force now pressing against the booth. The only sound was the frantic beating of his own heart echoing in the confined space.
4:44 a.m. Chen was huddled under his desk, whispering prayers, the emergency siren control clutched in his numb hand. Then, the booth's interior lights began to flicker, synchronized with the heavy bass sound of an approaching vehicle. Boom, boom, boom. The frequency was so low it vibrated in Chen's teeth. The light stabilized just as a vehicle emerged, a black 1980s sedan, polished to an impossible shine. It had no license plates, and its windows were opaque, reflecting the empty road in perfect, distorted spheres. It stopped precisely at the sealed barrier. The driver's side window slowly rolled down. Chen braced himself, peeking over the desk. There was no driver. The seat was empty. But the window next to the driver's seat began to roll down too. In the reflection of the sedan's polished hood, Chen saw the driver, a pale man in a suit, his face contorted in eternal pain, gripping the wheel. A voice, low and dry as ancient rice paper, whispered through the metal door, yet it somehow sounded like it was right inside the booth. "The toll has been denied, collector. We will take the difference." The air suddenly smelled like wet dust and lilies. Then the reflection shattered, not the glass, but the image on the hood. The man's face cracked into 100 sharp, angular pieces, like breaking porcelain. Simultaneously, the sound of glass smashing, impossible inside the sealed booth, screamed around Chen. He could feel sharp, invisible shards prickling his skin. The sedan didn't move. The screaming stopped instantly. Chen slowly opened his eyes. The interior of the sedan shimmered, revealing the passengers, dozens of them tightly packed, their eyes solid black voids. Then the car simply dematerialized, leaving behind only a faint, thick film of river mist that instantly condensed on the booth's exterior glass. The smell was suffocating. Chen stumbled toward the barrier control. He had to escape. But as his hand reached the lever, he stopped. The clock. It wasn't 4:45 a.m. It had reset. The digital clock flashed 3:17 a.m. The event had looped. The fear was fresh, the exhaustion was gone, and the terrible night was beginning again. He scrambled out from under the desk, scanning the room. Everything was back to normal, except for the small, dark puddle he had first dismissed hours ago. He knelt and tentatively reached out his hand, touching the cold liquid. It wasn't just water. It felt viscous and unnaturally heavy. As his fingers broke the surface, he realized the water was moving in tiny, swirling eddies, forming the unmistakable shape of a small human hand. The hand of the child he saw in the initial reflection. The puddle was the physical remnant of the body the bridge had claimed.
Chen stared at his hand. The melted coins were gone. The wet spot was gone. The writing was gone. But on his palm, a single black burn mark in the precise shape of an ancient copper coin branded his skin. The dragon had collected its down payment, branding him as collateral. He fled the booth without turning off the light. He never returned to claim his last paycheck. The booth remained closed for 3 weeks. The official report stated the surveillance tapes from Toll Booth 4 were corrupted during the 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. window that night. But years later, the next collector on the graveyard shift at Booth 4 reported finding a small black burn mark on the counter one morning. He immediately quit by noon. The question isn't whether the bridge is haunted. The terrifying question is, when you enter the toll booth, are you entering a job or a prison designed to pay a debt that can never be settled? The true Bridge of Sighs connects the living and the dead, and the toll collector is merely the temporary currency. The dragon's ledger requires a signature, and Chen Wei had finally signed it.